Hi to everybody out there watching my show. Welcome to my second season. For this episode, we are going to focus on two classic Italian-American dishes. They're both stuffed pasta dishes, which who doesn't love stuffed pasta? We are going to do a Manicotti and we are going to do stuffed shells, so stay tuned. So for our first recipe today, we're gonna do some stuffed shells. And to start, let's get those shells cooked off. So I've got some dried shelled pasta. And did you know that there's like 500 different varieties of pasta that you could possibly make? I can't possibly remember them all or pronounce them all. So we're gonna use shells today in this recipe. I've got water boiling on the stovetop. It's at a rolling boil. We've put salt in it so it's well seasoned. We're gonna get these cooked about 2 minutes under the package directions because this dish gets finished off in the oven. Let's get that pasta in the water and we'll let that go. Just a tip, if your pasta water, you know how sometimes the starch in the water makes it boil over, a wooden spoon, and this trick actually does work, you can set that on the top of the pan and it will keep your pasta water from boiling out. But let's let that go for about 7 minutes and then we're gonna bring it out and stuff those shells. All right, we've got our shells cooked. They're al dente. They're cooked a little bit less than what the package directions told us to cook because we're gonna actually bake these in the oven and we don't want those to fall apart and get overcooked in the oven. So we're gonna start with our filling. Let's take our ricotta. And I'm not for skim milk, I use the whole milk ricotta. It's not any worse for you. Whole milk products really are only 4% fat versus like 2% or 0, so there's really not a lot of fat to begin with. We're gonna make a spinach filling. So this is actually chopped spinach. I'll mix that in with our ricotta. We're gonna mix in some mozzarella. And mix to combine. And then we want to add an egg. This is going to help keep this together inside the shell so that it doesn't get all melty and ooze out of the shells and then you have like a cheesy mess and empty shells. So an egg to bind it. We're going to add some garlic. I've got Italian seasoning. You can use dried herbs as well. I'm using fresh today, and some parsley. All right, we've got our ricotta mixture mixed, ready to stuff our shells. You're gonna use about a tablespoon. Don't overfill these, again, because you wanna keep the filling on the inside of the pasta and not have it ooze out. So maybe about a tablespoon. I do a little tiny more. And I'm gonna use a really pretty baking dish to put these in. That way, when this comes out, we can just present it family style and you don't have to take it out and put it on separate plates. It'll make a really nice presentation on your table. And again, this is a dish that you're not normally gonna see in Italy, but so good. And I love a spinach dish. It's a great way to get some vegetables in your diet. And if for some reason you're cooking your pasta in advance and not using it right away, it is okay to put a little olive oil or a little melted butter on it to keep it from sticking together. Let's get one more in that bowl. Now I've got some marinara sauce that's already made, and it's a simple recipe. It is crushed tomatoes, it's onion, garlic, and some basil. And we've already got that cooked off, and we're going to cover this with the sauce and put it in the oven. Okay, now we're gonna cover this in sauce because you know me, I gotta get saucy. So let's do a nice coating over this. You don't want to be skimpy with the sauce because if you do, it'll get dry in the oven and we want this to have a nice coating on it. So we're gonna cover those shells with the sauce. Okay, our stuffed shells are gonna go in the oven. We do have raw egg in this, so we do need to make sure that we cook it well. Even though warming it up won't take that long, we probably wanna put it in the oven for about 20 minutes just to make sure that raw egg cooks. All right, our stuffed shells are ready to come out of the oven. And because we put these in that pretty bowl, we can serve it just like this. However, I am going to put some grated cheese on it and a little bit of herbs just to kind of oomph it up. So we'll take a little bit of that Parmesan. Sprinkle it on top. And a little bit of parsley. I'm using the same herbs that we used in the dish to garnish with. Isn't that beautiful? And you can certainly do a bigger baking dish, but I think this is just a beautiful presentation. This would be great dinner for two. For our second recipe today, we're going to do another stuffed pasta. We're going to make manicotti. Here in America, we make manicotti. In Italy, they make cannelloni. The difference is manicotti has a ridged center, or a ridged shell, and cannelloni is a smooth shell. But believe it or not, that pasta is one of the most ancient forms of pasta that they have. So in Italy, it's just a smooth, think of a lasagna sheet that's just been rolled up, a tubular pasta. Same thing with the manicotti, but here in America, we ridge it, which is actually gonna help to hold that sauce when we put the sauce on the dish. So first things first, let's get our manicotti cooked off. That needs to be cooked a couple minutes under the package directions. We're using a dry pasta, but we don't wanna overcook it because we don't want it to fall apart when we go to stuff it. So let's start by doing that. Get it in our seasoned boiling pasta water. And then let's make our filling. So for our filling, we are using sausage. We are going to brown that with some onion and garlic, drain it, and then we're gonna mix in our ricotta and our cheese and our herbs. To start our filling, we want to brown our ground beef and our onion and our garlic. So hot cast iron pan or a saute pan's fine. We're gonna put a little bit of oil. Again, you're gonna have some fat come out of the meat, but you wanna start with a little bit of oil to coat the pan so that the meat doesn't stick. And I'm gonna do my onion and garlic first. Let that sweat a little bit, get softened. And as always, I put my garlic in next. And you can never use enough, too much garlic, I think. And then we're gonna take our sausage and get this nice and browned. So break that up. Get it evenly distributed across your pan so that it cooks evenly and it'll brown faster. And then once that's browned, we're gonna drain off the fat and then we'll mix it in with our cheese mixture and we'll be ready to stuff the shells. So now that our meat is browned, we're going to mix that together with our stuffing and get our manicotti put together. So let's start with some ricotta. And let's put in our meat mixture. And we've got some mozzarella. Some Parmesan, and just an Italian cheese mixture. Has some Asiago, some Pecorino in it. And we're gonna add a little bit of parsley as well, so we have some herbs. And a little salt and pepper. I'm not gonna salt this too much because you get some saltiness from the cheese mixture. But again, you still wanna season. And make sure that that's well combined. In this dish, we are not using an egg. Since this is not an open pasta, I'm not worried about it binding. It'll stay in that tubular shape without having to use the egg. So really, this is a dish you could make ahead because all you were doing when we put it in the oven is just getting it warm and reheated. And I've got a baking dish ready. So for this dish, similar to a lasagna, we're gonna put a little bit of our marinara that we made earlier. We're gonna put that in the bottom of the pan and coat the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to take our tubular pasta that's been cooked a couple minutes under what the box says, because if it gets too cooked, it's going to break apart. Now, the easiest way to do this is taking a piping bag with a big round piping end, or even a Ziploc bag, and cutting the end of it and piping it into our manicotti. But unlike chefs, most people don't have those things at home. So we're just going to use a tablespoon, and we're going to stuff it kind of to the center, right? And don't force it, and don't stuff it too much, because you don't want that pasta to break. But do it towards the center, and then come around on the other side and do the other end. And that's the easiest way to do it without a piping bag. So you'll get that stuffed in there, and then we're going to put that in our sauce-lined baking dish. We'll do a few more to fill up this. Again, put it towards the center. And if these do break, that's okay. You can still just kind of fold it together. Once the cheese is in it, it'll help it stick. And you can still roll the pasta. And if you put the pasta tightly in your baking dish, that'll also help the cylinder to hold together. That side. And let's do a few more, and we'll be ready to finish this and put it in the oven. So we've got our manicotti stuffed. To finish this dish, let's put some more sauce on top. And that's more of our marinara. Marinara. I do need to work on my pronunciation. When in Rome. Get that sauce on top. And then for this one, let's cover it with mozzarella, so we'll have that nice melty cheese top. Ooh, so good. And we'll put this in the oven just to let that cheese melt and get everything nice and warm and bubbly. So our manicotti is warmed through. The cheese is melty. Let's get ready to taste this. Beautiful. All right. So I don't know about you, but I can't eat 5 pieces of this. So I'm gonna take one out, maybe 2. Oh, look at that melty cheese, and it's so saucy. Oh my goodness. Pop that there in the center of the plate. There we go. I'm gonna put a little bit of Parmesan on top of this, because you know, you can always have more cheese. And another little parsley on it. I've got some red wine. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. So I am gonna try this. Get some of that mozzarella. This is one of those dishes as the weather turns cold. This is like warm in your tummy, so comforting. You've got that nice flavor from the sausage. Cheesy, ooey, saucy goodness. So good. That's our manicotti. I don't know about you, but I have yummy in my tummy from making these 2 dishes. And warm and comforting, great classic Italian dishes that we do here in America. So we made some stuffed shells, we made some manicotti, and for those recipes and more, you can go to jenniferbasil.com. Ciao.